You know, I thought I'd come to you live from my swimming pool here today. Okay, come in here for a few moments, see what we can get on here. If you see my post, folks, okay, I picked Chuck Schumer as the guy that they can get to very easily to get released. And how does he do that? It was Chuck Schumer who recommended Judge Aaron Subramanian to be the judge to Joe Biden, and Joe Biden got him on the court. So that's how that happened, folks. Now, you all know Chuck Schumer. He's a member of the U.S. House of Representatives. So, what do you think he is? You know that when politicians open their mouth, they're lying to you. So that's what happens. Hello there, folks. Thank you for coming in. Okay? Really, what I say is on Google search, no kidding. All right, that's good. I don't care. All right? You know, folks, a lot of you have been asking me how my date was the other night. I got to tell you, she was a nice, lovely girl. All right? We went and had something to eat at Mulberry Street Pizza. And that's where I found out that she was only 38 years old. It's a little bit too young for me. And, you know, she has low blood sugar, so she got one of those things on her arm, and it went down to 30. Mine went down to 30, I'd be dead. And so I had to get food into her. We got her up, and just a nice, lovely gal, but that's it. I won't be seeing her no more. Okay? It's a little bit too young. Somebody 55, 60, I think would be perfect for me. Folks, put it in the comments. What age woman do you think would be good for me? I appreciate that there. You know, I love your comments, and I want to thank you all for being with me here. There's my buddy Jim Hoffman. I think I'm going to see you when, Jim? Today? I can't remember. I'm going to be hanging out at the pool and get some sun after I go have my meatballs with garlic toast. I got them up there cooking right now. All right? Folks, this situation with Diddy, it's all over YouTubers. You know, there was one YouTuber that a long time ago he wrote talking about how Kim Porter's body was going to be exhumed. It never happened. Her body was not exhumed. You know, where people get their information and then report it, I have no idea. I mean, it's crazy. And you know, then you see people. Free Diddy. And I want to thank you all for defending me on those Free Diddy people. That they're not only going after me, they're going after anybody, any content creator that doesn't have anything good to say about Punk Diddy. Punk Diddy. If you go way back and see where I did a video in front of his home, I'm the first one to start calling him a punk. And I stand by that. You know, folks, regardless of what happens at his sentencing, one thing is for certain. He will always be known as a woman beater. Now, I told you this before, and I'm going to tell you again. I don't like woman beaters, and I don't like pedophiles. And from what I hear, he's also a pedophile. I don't think these people should be in jail. Not at all. What I think is they should be put up against the wall with a firing squad. I have to say that. You know, I was in Italy several years back, and one place I visited was this place where people who broke the law, how they got tortured. You should have seen this. Yes, everybody's got a right to their opinion. Opinion is one thing, but when you're reporting something, report the truth and the facts. Okay? People don't do that. It's it's social media. There's nothing I could do. I can't stop it. Okay? What do I care? All right? Now, everybody's thinking Donald Trump will pardon him because Diddy's got the $20 million pay him. $20 million, Donald Trump is chump change, number one. Now, you can say what you want about President Trump. He's a womanizer. He admits that. He loves women. No question about it. There's nothing about him being with underage children. There's nothing about him ever beating a woman. And I go back to Donald Trump's history from years ago. I'll get to Sonny Franchise later, folks, okay? But thank you for that. Yes, Sonny had his hands in a lot of things. Okay, now what was I saying? You make me forget. I need some help here. Okay? But what the hell was I talking about? Man, senior moment. As long as people report the truth and facts, okay, that's great. I will tell you when it's my opinion what I think it should be, okay? But remember, it's only my opinion. But I base my opinion from my experiences, having been through the system, having been in MDC, fighting my case, because I was denied bail 4 times. Diddy was denied 3, okay? And this last time makes him 4. So me and Diddy are even on the number of times we were denied bail. And I loved how the judge put it right back into the defense attorney's lap and said, from your words, you said that Diddy's a violent individual. That was cool, huh? Now there's a lot of things all around YouTube. People are saying that Little Rod is saying that there's more indictments coming on Diddy. There could very well be. I understand there is one underage person, a gal, and you know, there's no statute of limitations on that anymore. So the state, I think it's just California. I think California can go after them on that there. Will they? I doubt it. They're freeing everybody they arrest immediately, so I doubt they're going to go after it. But, you know, we'll see on that there. Yeah, there's different states that could bring charges, just like they did to Donald Trump. Georgia brought the RICO Act against Donald Trump, and we know where that happened to that, right? So they cannot recharge Diddy again for the things that he was found not guilty of, because that's called double jeopardy. All right, so he can never be charged for those again. And that goes for state and federal, I believe. I'm not sure. I'm going to have to look that up. Maybe some of you folks know. Uh, Damn, it's gorgeous out here today, folks. Uh, if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe to my channel and put your notifications on and give me a like, okay? Those likes help me, believe it or not. You know, you know how much money I made here last month? I made nothing last month, okay? $0 did I make from YouTube. You know how much I made on TikTok, where I got over 80,000 subscribers? $1.42. On Facebook and Instagram, which is Meta, I made $5.40. And I have over 65,000 followers on Instagram. I'm not a technology guy. I don't understand it. Everybody's telling me I should make money. I don't know. If I knew technology, yeah, it'd be a different story. But I just don't know that there. And by the way, for all of you who have hit that thanks button and left, gave me a few bucks, I want you to say I deeply appreciate it, okay? Folks, I have been studying everything I could on this, what the judge could sentence him to. And yes, there's 10 years on each of those charges. Nobody's ever got the 10 years that I know of on those charges. But remember, the judge sat in that courtroom. He's heard every word. He knows exactly who Diddy is, okay? He knows exactly what Diddy did. Obviously, the jurors didn't believe it for whatever reason. But that's up to that jury, okay? And someday something's going to come out about what happened in that jury room. It always does. It's never the next day or the next week, but it eventually happens. If something went wrong, if somebody was paid off, it's going to show, okay? And I'm not saying that did happen. I don't know. But what I do know is the sentencing is entirely up to the judge. You all have seen my video about what goes into a pre-sentencing report. Okay, can you see me? The sun's really shining. I can't see myself, and I can't see what you're writing. So I thank you, folks. I can't even see. Okay? Hey, boy, thank you so much. Let's see. Thank you, Corvette. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Corvette sent me great money, or the original. Yeah, I can't read. I'm sorry, I can't see, but I'm going to thank you from my heart. Thank you for that much. Every little penny helps because I spend a lot of money trying to bring this content and so forth, and bring in. Oh, it was the original. The original. Thank you so much. Okay? Forgive me, folks. I can't see this writing here. All right? But I thank everybody for your kindness. Okay? And I deeply appreciate it. Trust me, I do. But, it's up to the judge. And there's one side saying that the minimum he can get is 21 and the 21 months, and on the other side, they're saying the minimum 51 months. I don't know what the minimum is on those, okay? But he's going to be enhanced. And that Comey, Maureen Comey, everybody wants to rave about how great she is. I'm going to tell you, first of all, the Eastern District, he would have been found guilty in the Eastern District out of Brooklyn, okay? They got some great USA attorneys there. All right? This Maureen Comey, she was trained by her father, who was a dirty FBI agent. Let's face it, that's what she was trained. There's evidence missing on the Epstein files that they can't find. Well, she was part of that team to put Epstein away. And now there's a lot about Diddy that nobody's showing you. Did the FBI get all those famous people that Diddy recorded when they raided his home and not show it to anybody? You know, you got to remember something. When you got money, you can do anything, folks. Okay? Money buys your way out of prison. I'm going to give you an example. When I was locked up at Brooklyn MDC, I'll never forget the day, okay? At the courthouse in Brooklyn on Court Street, a Colombian guy got on the bus. And I'm sitting there with my 13 other co-defendants, and he recognized us that we were gangsters. You know, he recognized us for who he was, and he gives us all his love. This guy's face was all scarred up. His name is Chapaka. If you look up drug dealer lollipop, you will find him. They had this guy on so many charges, murders in Brooklyn. They picked him up in, not Colombia, country near. What the hell is the country? All right, he was getting his face changed. And that's when they got him, and that's why his face was scarred up like crazy. This guy had over $2 billion. He was a big drug dealer. And he had Chagall as his attorney. And then, long and behold, Chagall visits Colombia, and two of his guys, they put a few kilos on a boat that they're going to bring to America, and they get caught. Each one of those guys were paid a couple $1 million by this guy to do that, because for what they put on, they can get 10 years, and 10 years was nothing to them, especially when their family's going to have $2 million USA dollars in Colombia. That's a lot of money. So this guy, he paid everybody his buck, and you know, the Chagall sent, they called them paralegals. I could tell because I was in the visiting room every day listening to my discovery, so I know what was going on there. You know, and they're feeding him all the stuff from the vending machines that he could eat there. And these girls were not paralegals. Okay, they were prostitutes, I guarantee you. But regardless of that there, when he went after he was sentenced, okay, see, when he had those guys put those kilos on the ship in Colombia, and then he becomes the informant on them, he's eligible for the Witness Protection Program. So they got that out. That was all set up by the feds. Feds could do anything they want. When this guy got sentenced, nobody heard from him again. You could not find him anywhere in the BOP system. He had $2 billion. When I left Brooklyn and was transferred to Lompoc, I know he already offered the Department of Justice $500 million. Now, what the ultimate amount was, I'm going to guarantee he probably ended up, they allowed him to keep several millions of dollars, and he was living down in Florida. Okay? This guy just disappeared from the BOP. But when did they bring him back? When El Chapo was on trial. Which, by the way, El Chapo had Judge Brian Gogan, who was my judge. And I think Judge Brian Gogan is one of the best judges in the system in the Eastern District. They brought him back. He was an informant against El Chapo. That's the last time anybody heard of him. You can Google all that. You can find it all out, okay? See that I'm telling you the truth. You got to Google lollipop drug dealer and he'll come right up. So, folks, it's Sunday. 4th of July weekend's over. Thankful. Our nation's 250 years old. You know, folks, I got to look over here. I can't see anything. All right? I apologize. I thank you folks for leaving those comments. You know, keep doing that there. But so, folks, listen. Tomorrow I'm going to be doing another live. You don't want to miss it. Okay? I'm going to Google now and see how I schedule my live so you all know when I'm going to come on. So please, folks, subscribe, like, hit, put on your notifications if you haven't already. Okay? God bless you all. You know what? Let me go in the hallway. Hang on, I'm not leaving you yet. Let me go in so I could read this stuff. Okay? I'd like to give you folks answers to your questions. Okay. Corvette. Sub, Mrs. Sub. What's that? No, you're not missing nothing. What time do I live in? I don't know what time. I'm an early riser. I'm normally up by 5 a.m., sometimes earlier. Here, is this better, folks? Yeah, I wake up early and I drink 4 cups of coffee. Come on, buddy, how are you? And yeah, here we are. Okay, folks. Now I can see everything here. Okay. I live in an apartment building in Beverly Hills. Yes. Hey, you love coffee? I mix my coffee with espresso. I use Sumatra. I put 2 scoops of Sumatra, a heaping scoop of espresso, and then 2 more scoops of Sumatra. And they're not cups, I drink 4 mugs of that a day. And then during the course of the day, I will have a couple double espressos. Elliot, no, I'm not rich. I was at one time, I'm not. The feds got everything after my indictment. I got out of prison, all right, with $150 in my pocket. So, you know, at 80 years old, I'm rebuilding my life. I see my name, my dear friend from Manchester, England, Andrew Carson. And what movie am I watching today? Well, I know soon that I'll be watching the movie about my best friend and mate, Joey Pyle from London. And Andrew Carson, you see there, folks, one of the best writers in Hollywood you ever want to meet. And he co-writes a lot with George Gallo, and they wrote The Accidental Gangster together. All right, it's another movie you're going to see coming out soon. Marcus, I'd like to be able to get everybody in. Yes, Tiffany, they're transition. Hopefully my movie's out by March of next year, folks, but we'll see. Andrew said it's true. Huh? I think that's funny, Andrew. But I appreciate you coming on, buddy. I can't see how many people I got in there. There's my friend Bella. How are you, Bella? Tiffany. I got some really loyal followers here. And, you know, once again, I want to thank you all. A lot of you posts telling people, to subscribe to my channel. I appreciate it. Cute woman with me in the rest in the video. Oh my God, that's a good question. When? When are we talking about? What video? Morocco, thank you. We got somebody from Morocco. I hear it's a beautiful country. Yeah. Look I do have lunch with a lot of beautiful women. I gotta admit, folks, I've had one hell of a life here in Hollywood. I'm known as the Hollywood fixer. And through the years, you won't believe the actresses that I have dated. One actress I dated, I'll give you a little hint. At one time, she was every man's dream. And that's all I'm going to say. And by the way, she was the only woman that wrote me while I was in prison. So, and I can guarantee you one thing. Folks, when you see my movie, women are going to love it. It's not your typical shoot 'em up, kill 'em gangster movie. No, it's not at all. There's a little comedy in there. And my writers tell me, no, Marcus, it wasn't Farrah Fawcett. I'll give you another Clint. Gilligan's Island. Huh? Do I still have her letter? I might have it in my box where I have all my records for my indictment and my court cases. It might be there. I don't know. And if I did, I would not show it. Okay? Okay? Yes, Erica, you got it right. Yeah, and Marcus, there guys are guessing. Okay, and there are many more. I'm not going to talk about it, folks. I would not share my life with anything. Have I made mistakes? We all make mistakes in life. Okay? Oh, the sequel, Andrew Carson. We're talking about sequel. As you know, George Gallo wrote Bad Boys. I think there's been about 3 of them so far. And he sees that with me. And Andrew wants to do one, be a comedy, funny as hell. For those of you who have not read my book, which you should, okay, just go in my profile and click the link and you could buy it. How I robbed the LA City jail. That's a funny story. I robbed the jail of confiscated cable boxes they had. And boy, I could tell you everything that happened minute by minute on that there. What we did at that jail, how I did it. It's all in my book, The Accidental Gangster. And now let's see, I want to find, I think, that person who sent me that $19.95, okay, original something, I want to find him. I thanked you already. I want to thank you again. It's really awesome, and I appreciate people who appreciates the things that I do. Nobody does rob a jail, but I do. Okay, I gotta tell you, there was another time I'm watching TV and the DEA confiscated a shipload of cocaine. And it was off the coast down there in Orange County. I'm watching TV. You know how my mind goes? I'm trying to figure out how I can get into that jail and steal that cocaine. Okay, because was worth hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars. That's how my sick mind works. I gotta be honest. You know, I want to tell you a little bit. I read an article in Rolling Stones magazine. I can't remember who the writer was, but she did an awesome job on Diddy and how he became this perverted punk that he is. Thank you, coffee. Coffee, yes, thank you. All right. Coffee, I just bought my audio book. Yes, my book is on audio. You can purchase the audio. It's on Kindle. And so, anyways, something in that article. Diddy's mom, Janice, she used to have all these parties, a lot of sex going on while Diddy was growing up. His father was a pimp, worked for George Lucas, became an informant. He got killed. But what caught my attention was Diddy is a Catholic. He went to a Catholic school. Plus, he was an altar boy. No, I'm not saying this is only my thought, okay? But you all know what happened to a lot of these young altar boys, all right, the priests have done. I mean, so, Diddy's had a lot of things before that. Everybody wants to Clyde Davis. I think by the time he got to Clyde Davis, he was ripe for the picking. So I'm going to do a story on that there. How Diddy was growing up, his father and all that there. I'm going to do my research so I know what I'm telling you is accurate information. All right. And, going back to everybody saying there's more indictments coming down. And like I said earlier, I don't know how. They cannot indict him on the same things that he was found not guilty of, because that would be double jeopardy. Erica, with 14 years, congratulations, my dear. That is awesome. That's amazing. Everybody congratulate Erica. She's been sober for 14 years. I happen to know a lot about addicts. I had a gal friend who was a beautiful blonde, came from a very, very wealthy family here in Los Angeles, and she was a drug addict. I had her in 17 different recovery homes, and it didn't help. Her main drug of choice was codeine Furanyl pills. It's basically heroin. She would take anything else you get, the Vicodin, all that there. I spent a ton of money in recovery homes. I had a better shot going to Las Vegas and putting it on the crack table. Eventually, this girl died down in Palm Springs with a bottle of Vicodin, a bottle of vodka, a bottle of Vicodin, bottle of Vicodin, all empty, all around her body. She died at the age of 44 years old. So, folks, I went to Al-Anon, I went to Alcoholic Anonymous to try to understand why these people can't break that. It's not easy. So I give Erica a lot of credit there. Hello, Ronnie, thank you. I got a feeling something's going to come up on Kim Porter and Tupac. And Tupac, I say, because you got this guy, what's his name, Keefe D or something like that, who's going to go on trial in Las Vegas. He's the guy that murdered Tupac. And supposedly he was supposed to get Suge Knight also. And he's claiming that he was to be paid $1 million from no other than Sean Combs, Puck Diddy, P. Diddy, and whatever else they want to call him. But remember, no matter what happens to Diddy, he's going to go down and always known as a woman beater. Ronnie, you got inside information? I hope it's correct. Thank you. Hello, Kate. How are you over there in Manchester? Folks, I'm a young 80. Somebody tried to say, she says, I hope when I get 50, I'm like you. I wrote him back. I said, for your information, I'm 80. I don't think I look 50. Maybe 65 I could pass for. I don't know. God's with me, folks. God bless. I talked about that earlier about the states. They got them on a young gal that the below the age girl that could possibly happen. I think that's in California. Will they bring charges? I don't know. You know, you folks, don't ever forget the fact that Diddy still has a lot of money. And all these people you see, you know, look at what happened to Tisha Tell over there outside the courtroom. That was disgraceful. Very disgraceful. You know that these people, I feel sure they're being paid by Diddy's camp. And then a lot of people are saying that Christina Coram made a deal with the government. If Christina Coram had made a deal with the government, they would have used her as a witness on the stand. So I don't understand why. I don't believe she is working for the government. I believe she's the one that's been working behind the scenes, orchestrating and putting together all these free Diddy t-shirts, all these free Diddy people, having people go online, all right, and try to threaten people like me and other content creators. I just believe it's her. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. You know, Marcus, you might be right. He might go to Thailand. Do you know that a lot of pedophiles go to Thailand? A lot of pedophiles go to Thailand for the young boys, young girls. Yeah, because they don't have the laws over there that we have here. How disgusting is that? Crazy. So, folks, listen, I'm going to go upstairs. I got some meatballs and some sirloin that I cut up and put in a sauce. And it's spicy. I put a lot of chili pepper in there. And we had that with garlic bread. And then I'm going to go out to the pool. I got to get some sun. So I want to thank you all for coming here. Thank you. And as usual, all my love and respect to each one of you. God bless you. Have a great day, folks. Be safe. And I'll see you tomorrow.